Hi, I'm Puddingnymph. Today I'm going to be designing cats from an AI image generator. This is based on Vixel's video, and I'll be using the same AI. I'll link their video and the Dolly Mini AI in the description. These speeddraws are kind of long since I wanted to show the process more, so let's get started. I wanted to use these cats as an opportunity to experiment. Throughout the series, you'll see me play around with reference sheet styles, character design, and coat patterns. These are all things I've wanted to work on for quite a while, but have been struggling with or avoiding. I'm not sure if I've seen many artists talk about this, so I wanted to discuss experimenting with your art. When it comes to digital art, I feel like there's a pressure to stay consistent. I'm not sure how many others feel this way as well, but it seems to be a possible theme. When an artist's style changes, it often happens in one of two ways. The art changes gradually over time, often not even noticeable until you look at older art of theirs. Or they suddenly announce that they have been experimenting with their style, and now it's very different. Both of these are totally fine, and my point is not to make a stance on how you should make or present your art. I just want to try to break the ice on making changes to your craft, whether this be technical improvements or stylistic adjustments. It seems to be a common stressor to introduce new things to the content you make. If you've developed an audience, it can be easier to cater to who's already watching rather than possibly lose supporters and not gain any back. Small gradual changes to your art can be from changing as a person or slowly learning your craft. Sometimes these tiny changes aren't noticeable until you look back at older art. These types of changes are sometimes not even intentional, so they usually are easier to implement. But when you decide it's time for a change and make a lot of changes in a short period of time, I've seen artists post very carefully, myself included. When I started drawing, I was super experimental and had the courage to tackle almost anything. I can look back on these now and say they're not the best, but at the time I was really happy with them. As I've become more experienced, I've lost a lot of that blind courage. When trying something new or something I'm not great at, it doesn't look as good as the stuff I usually draw. This is to be expected. But it's easy to automatically think, I'm not good at this, and just stop. All that happens when I do this is I don't practice that skill, so of course I don't get better. When I was just starting drawing, and just drawing for myself without an account on the internet, I could take this shot to my ego a little easier. No one was watching me try stuff out. It didn't matter if I wasn't an expert, because no one would see it anyways. Now, even the possibility of someone seeing me practice is really daunting. I like to stay open to criticism, but it can be scary when I'm already not confident in a piece. It's easy for comments to read differently than intended when you can't hear the person's tone, so online critique can be scary. I try to be as open as possible, but I can definitely understand how scary this can be. I still struggle when posting new things I know I'm not great at yet. I can of course get around this by not posting it, but when I'm really trying to improve, I often don't want to draw something I'm comfortable posting. I'm trying to be better, and drawing something I'm used to feels like backpedaling. It can be relieving for a bit, but then I'm worried I'm not implementing what I've been working on. I've had a history of going on hiatuses because of this. I can get discouraged by how scared I am to post new things that I end up slowly cornering myself into inactivity. I'm not sure how common this is for other online artists, but it's something I think should be talked about a little more. This is why I really gravitate towards challenges. The one-off feeling of it gives me the courage to try new things. The fact that other people are doing it and possibly getting out of their comfort zone as well makes me feel better about posting it. I've seen people mention that they use challenges or art memes as a combatant to art block, but I haven't seen much talk regarding using them for improvement. Since trying to improve your art can be so stressful, at least for me, something fun like a challenge helps me a lot. It's often just enough direction to get me started, but open enough that I can experiment. You can of course experiment without restrictions like a challenge. You don't need to treat every challenge as an opportunity to branch out. I find challenges a good launching point when I'm a little stuck and not sure where to start. If I'm especially lost on where to start, I try really small challenges. For DeviantArt's birthday, they released an activity map for you to color in. I wasn't sure if I was going to try it, but I saw people taking two different approaches to it that really got my attention. Some artists were treating the template like any other digital canvas. It ended up looking like the digital mock-up you make before it's printed out. They looked really polished and clean, and it was nice. Other artists treated it like they were at the birthday party and got a pack of crayons and just went to town. I decided I really wanted my activity mat to look like I had physically taken a crayon or pencil to it, but I wasn't sure how to do that. So I ended up playing around with Fire Alpaca's brushes more than I usually do. I found some brushes that I wasn't sure what to do with before, but now I use a lot, and I've changed how I draw because of what I learned from this drawing. Even though the prompt was really simple, I learned a lot from how I approached it. Another technique is to push yourself a little more than you think you can handle. Be reasonable, of course, but take a goal you think you can accomplish and make it a priority. See how far you can really go. I had seen art fight content for a while, but was too intimidated to handle it. This past July, I tried it out. I threw myself into it and challenged myself to draw an attack every day. I not only improved by drawing so much, but by drawing intimidating designs, species I wasn't used to, and I finally pushed myself to draw backgrounds. I hadn't drawn digitally in a while, and I was out of practice and discouraged to try again. I used Artfight to kick myself back into it, and I'm really glad I did. For this challenge, I firstly wanted to get better at reference sheets. I've been trying to be better at pacing myself in drawings so I don't tire myself out before the drawing is done. If I rush in head first and expect the drawing to be done in one sitting, I'll end up compromising more and more as the drawing goes on. My reference sheets are a really clear sign of this. I'm always glad to get the drawing done, but I never stay pleased with it. I love looking at other artists' reference sheets. My favorites are the ones with really eye-catching layouts, small details, all seeming to fit the aura of the character. I really want to make my reference sheets something nice to look at. Throughout this series, you'll see me play around with backgrounds and layouts. I tried to make each drawing a little different. For the speed draws in the future, I experiment a little further, but I'll save those details for later. I'm still not really happy with the outcomes, but it's an important stepping stone. I know some of you really like the world building part of my videos, so now it's time for some backstory on these two. They don't have names yet, but I think I know where they live. Distant in the universe lies a planet with fauna similar to Earth's, but with notable changes. The globe still fosters great expanses of water, dotted with large, protruding continents, but it lacks any primates. Here, two sentient cat-like species have been prey to massive birds for so long they have required adaptations to keep themselves alive. While the size of the felines remain somewhere between that of a house cat and a wild cat on Earth, the birds have grown to enormous sizes. They dominate the planet with colossal flocks, picking off anything they can catch. Under their talons, the cats have struggled. The two feline species considered each other rivals for centuries. Each took up valuable space for the other, and they were stiff enemies. But as the winged predators thwarted all attempts of evasion, the cats were pushed to declare peace. It took years to get comfortable with each other's company, but it became apparent that cooperation would only aid them. They have neared the end of their first decade of cohabitation with record numbers of survivors. The Cly bears a third eye, allowing constant sight to the sky. They are slightly stocky with a small amount of fight to them. The Bith possess oblong pupils with superior peripheral vision. They are flighty and make excellent runners. In their time of peace, they have realized that together, not much can catch them. Their small families have grown into clans, towns, and now cities. They have gone from merely surviving to organization. Their outlooks have shifts, some cats never needing to contribute, and instead leading to other tasks like mouse farms and more complex den building. They have started to develop traps for certain prey, alarm systems for the birds, and medicine to combat injuries and illness. They've come far in the short period of time of being together. They have grown ambitious and confident. Their next goal is to take on the birds. I started this challenge thinking I would faithfully recreate what the AI had made for me. At some point, you'll see me look at my design and just, well, I hated it. I realized I wouldn't want to draw them again. They just looked like a garbled mess from an AI, not something I would think about and want to work on. I assumed the challenge would be how I could figure out what was going on in the images, but I just wasn't getting a result I was happy with. I started interpreting the generated images a little more. Instead of seeing the AI's design as the end product I was merely copying, I started to think of them as sketches. The weird anomalies on the cats became vague suggestions, which opened a lot of options for me. This was a great practice for me, since I tend to get too attached to my first sketch. If I take the time to make a few more quick sketches, I usually end up liking them more, but I tend to forget that when I see the first sketch. I'm still not totally happy with this design, but I like where it took me. I like the designs I came up with in later videos a lot more, and I couldn't have gotten to that point if I didn't mess around and make mistakes in these first cats. It can be disappointing when you spend a long time on something only to step back and not be satisfied with it. It was really disheartening when that happened for this design, though this did allow me some room to experiment. Trying new things often means failing a lot, which can be scary. But if I already hate what I've made, then I like to use the opportunity for potential improvement. The worst I can do is still be unhappy, but by messing around, I've learned more about what I'm capable of and what I need to work on. It feels safer than potentially messing up something I already kind of liked. I have projects I've been sitting on for a while because I really needed this time to mess around in my art. In August, I tried a Lion King design challenge I'll link below. I haven't posted it anywhere because I'm not happy with how it turned out. The lessons I learned through this series have helped me understand why I've been dissatisfied with my designs lately. I like what I've done with the Sicily clan cats, but everything else has been hard to love. I realized I've been so caught up in trying to make realistic designs that I never really stopped to ask if I genuinely liked them. I thought I didn't like my designs because they weren't realistic enough. When I looked at actual animals for reference, I got caught up in the little details, thinking if I replicated those, then the design would be more realistic. I equated complicated with realistic, but that isn't necessarily true. I made these designs more complicated than they needed to be, and I lost what I was trying to convey in these characters. I've always liked cartoon designs, but I wasn't sure why. After this, I think it's their digestible language that draws me in. Through shapes, hues, tones, saturation, and much more, you can communicate what to expect from a character without overcomplicating the design. I've recently seen some artists doing this in warrior cat designs, and I think it started to help me understand what I've been missing in my own designs. I don't want to develop characters around physical appearance alone, but I think the visual language would help me a lot. Because of this AI series, I think I'm ready to return to these lion designs. I'm glad to see my priorities and approach to design change. I think after some more experimentation, I'll be a lot more confident in my designs. Now for some more character development. This cat's name is Sumi Mink. Sumi for the ink-like stripes on their coat, and Mink from their family name. They're non-binary and are a bit on the masculine side. They're part of a clan and helps out with the younger paws. I'm not sure whether they are a sort of teacher or sitter, but they look after the youngest in the clan and ensure they're all safe and healthy. It's not to the point of giving them medicine or anything, but they round up the tiny paws and watch over them. They are known for their calm demeanor, a striking contrast to their wild pelt. They are calm and gentle, approaching every cat and situation with care and empathy. They have a heavy gait, each paw step usually landing with a noise, but their voice rarely carries louder than their steps. Their tiny wards admire them like an older sibling or parent. The older cats that were once watched by Sumi still hold them in high regard, and the entire clan celebrates Sumi's accomplishments. They don't have a partner, being aromantic and preferring to stay single. Instead, they have a circle of friends that they're close with. Sumi doesn't want their own kittens, at least not directly from themselves, but they enjoy taking care of the little ones. They enjoy being a big sibling or extra parent, and they're grateful the clan lets them do this full time. They're currently the only cat doing this. Not all parents in the clan have their kittens watched full time, and some only occasionally have them watched, so Sumi isn't watching every kitten in the clan at a time. They do have a group of kittens that usually fall under their care, and they're happy to take them in, and Sumi loves watching the kittens make friends with cats from all over the clan. I know it's typical to draw a blind eye with a lighter pupil, but Sumi isn't blind. Their green eye can see just as well as their brown one. In their clan, it's common for cats to have two different eyes, either color-wise or the lightness of their pupil. The only notable differences between a blind eye and a seeing one would be a wandering gaze, often their blind eye not looking where their seeing eye does. The light pupils are genetic, even down to the left or right eye. Some families in the clan have light pupils in both eyes. While blindness isn't common, typically a cat born blind has both light pupils. There are plenty of seeing cats with both light pupils in the clan, but it has been noted how rare it is for a black-pupiled kitten to be born blind. Strangely, the neighboring clans don't have light pupils. Kittens from other clans are often wary of these lighter pupiled cats, and it can be unnerving to see them at first. Thankfully, the neighbors are on good terms. They have little history of conflict between them, and often come to each other's aid. Things are run slightly differently in each clan, seeing strong priorities in different things, but it's not enough to cause an argument. Because of this, cats are free to roam between the territories. The borders are more of a formality, a line to indicate who's accountable for what land, but it's not necessarily to keep other cats out. There are very few cats in the clans that hold bad feelings towards a neighboring clan. Some cats take offense to outsiders hunting in their land, but these arguments are few and far between. To ease any tensions, the leaders visit each other frequently to give updates on their clan and territory. It's rarely a surprise when a cat is found roaming outside their clan's land. It's not terribly common, but it is acceptable to relocate to a different clan. Cats aren't expected to have immense loyalty to their clans, and it is common for families to visit relatives in a neighboring clan. Strangers are treated very differently. There has been a history of outsiders moving in and disrupting the peace of these neighbors. These clans are incredibly wary of strangers to the area and often don't let them join. There are a couple of cats currently in the clan that were once outsiders, becoming very welcomed parts of their clans, but this is rare. It takes a long time for their clanmates to warm up to them, and it can be a very cold atmosphere for quite some time. For Sumi's clan, legend is that the clan was once only made up of light-pupiled cats. Through letting in strangers, the group began having odd-pupiled cats. Eventually, whole groups of strangers settled in, creating the neighboring clans. Currently, the clans contain light-pupiled cats, mostly from Sumi's clan, dark scarlet cats in one of the neighboring clans, and the rest with natural eyes. It's rare to find a stranger with anything other than natural eyes, suggesting only the cats here have different eyes. The clans don't remember fully where their ancestors came from, so they're uncertain if they traveled far to get here, or if they simply had a mutation that became the norm. It sure is a shocking sight for any visitor. The cats in these clans also live longer than the average feral. The clans have more advanced medicine, growing patches of herbs, harvesting them into liquid mixtures. They use strong, straight sticks to secure broken limbs, and numbing agents for painful injuries, and can massage dislocated joints back into place. With no predators in the area, and many cats to cooperate with, they have been able to focus on improving their living conditions quite a bit. This has extended into things past first aid. They reinforce their dens, pushing grasses and branches into mud and letting it dry to form a hard wall. One of the clans is experimenting with bricks, using the riverside clay to their advantage. They have been able to produce bowls, arches, and rudimentary jewelry. They cluster metallic-like rocks on a nearby hill to prevent lightning strikes close to their homes, and use the ash after these strikes for medicine and paint. They elevate their nests off the ground to prevent damp sleeping quarters. One of the clans uses a chunk of their territory to herd rabbits, and has been able to very mildly domesticate them. I'm excited to further these clans because I think having a more fantastical twist to them allows for some more suspension of belief in terms of technology they have. I think each clan has their own small twists on architecture, the ones closest to the river mostly using bricks and mud, while the ones farther away using more branches and rocks with only mud to fill in the gaps. The clans definitely have trading between them. They're not opposed to helping out in times of need, but it helps when they'll get something out of it, even if it's a few bricks or pieces of prey. An important thing to note is the more personable items, like bowls and jewelry, aren't considered to be owned by any individual. These more portable items are owned by the clan as a whole. All members in the territory are expected to share. Even visitors get to use these items as long as they stay available to the clan. I'm excited to work this system out and see where it goes. And that's it for now. Let me know if your art has changed because of art challenges or memes. I'm really curious how many other artists do this. They don't have to be cat-related either. Up until Sicily Clan and this challenge, I've always tried challenges for things I don't usually draw. Or maybe you have another way you like to experiment with your art, in which case, definitely leave a comment. Feel free to drop some advice or some challenges you've found helpful or fun. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye!